Hello, and this is my presentation on the Peloponnesian War for my Western Civilization class. So, to give you some background information, the Peloponnesian War was a war between two different places. One was Sparta, one was Athens. Athens, as you could see, took more of a navalistic approach, as you could see there on the boats. And while Sparta stick with their land-based stayings while they're staying on the land, obviously. You might be asking why. And honestly, before I did this topic, I also asked myself, why wouldn't Sparta just adapt? But after doing research, I finally discovered why. And I hopefully you could come with this in this trip as well. So, without going any further on this, we have to first go back to the basics. Why did the war happen? Why did the Peloponnesian War even start? Well, after the Persian defeat, Athens assumed leadership of the Delian League, originally a defensive ally or an alliance. Over time, Athens transformed it into an empire, compelling member states to pay tribute and station garrisons, which a lot of them did not like and led to resentment among allies who felt subjugated rather than protected. Thucydides said that too. In Thucydides' view, he vividly identified the deeper cause as Sparta's fear of Athens' growing strength. So, Sparta in this time was viewed as more of a militaristic, more aggressive, and more of the dominant side of Greece, while Athens was viewed more of the poetic, creativity type of people. But Athens knew more, and they said, let's make, and they found in bodies of water, as you'll see in the map I have, saying, why me no make boat? So then Sparta was scared that Athens would become more powerful than because they were going to be more intelligent and also have more advantage on them because of the water. Corinth, a major trading power, saw its commercial interest undetermined by Athens' naval supremacy. Athens' ability to dominate sea routes and ally with Corcyra, a strategic naval power, threatening Corinth's position in western Greece. Corinth and Corcyra are two pieces of land that we will see in a minute as well in the map. That one of it is located on a more far away from Sparta and Athens, but one of them is located closer. The dispute between Corinth and Corcyra over Epidamus escalated when Athens decided to intervene for Corcyra's side. Not only did it antagonize Corinth, but also entangle Sparta's alliance, widening the conflict beyond a local quarrel. Athens imposed on Megara, which is another piece of land we will see, excluding it from Athenian markets and ports. This economic strangulation was perceived as a hostile act, pushing Megara closer to Sparta and inflaming tensions across the Peloponnesian League. But as I was saying earlier, these two had different ideologies. Athens represented democracy, innovations, and maritime expansion, while Sparta embodied oligarchy, which is practically a small group of people ruling over a land or a country, tradition, and land-based conservatism. These ideological contrasts deepened mistrust as each city-state viewed the other system as a threat to its way of life. And as we could see here, there's a lot of yellow along the ocean and along bodies of water, then red. This is because the red was Sparta and their allies. And the yellow was Athens and their allies. As you could see here, Athens was here, and their allies were all along coastal regions, while Sparta had more of in the land type people, and they were located in the land as well, here and in Macedonia. Epidamus is right here, who brought a lot of supplies and a lot of trading stuff. Corcyra, the one that Athens interfered with, is here located in a body of water. Not surprised. And then we have Megara, and then we have Corinth. As you can see, if you remember, Athens was blocking Corinth from trading routes, which pushed them closer to Sparta, so then Sparta defended them. And Megara as well. But now we also have to think about it this way. How did Athens' naval power compare to Sparta's land-based strength? Well, Athens commanded the seas with its fleets of tyremans, enabling control of trade routes and enforcing tribute from allies and projection of influence far beyond Attica. This maritime strength allowed Athens to sustain itself even under siege by importing grain and supplies through its ports. Now Sparta's power lays in its disciplined, hostile army and militarized society, which gave it unmatched effectiveness in direct land combat. Spartan forces repeatedly invaded Attica, devastating Athenian farmland to pressure Athens into submission. As we could see here, Athens is doing one thing to make Sparta bend the knee, and Sparta is doing another thing that makes Athens to bend the knee. So here we get deeper into how the war happened. Sparta depended on the Peloponnesian League allies to reinforce campaigns, while Athens relied on its maritime empire for resources and manpower. This alliance structure reflected the broader ideological divide between aristocrat Sparta and democratic Athens. Athens could not defeat Sparta on land because they didn't have much military experience, and Sparta struggled to challenge Athens on the water. With this balance of power produced a prolonged stalemate, with each side exploiting its strongest points but unable to deliver a decisive blow. Eventually, Persia just chipped in and said, you know what, let me help Sparta financially and with naval support. So with this, Sparta built a fleet, so a bunch of boats, which at the end of the day tipped the balance of power at sea and breaking Athens' strategical advantage. This external factor was crucial in ending the deadlock and shifting momentum towards Sparta. As you can see here in this image, Athens just comes in 3 boats, but guess who's there ready to meet them? Sparta saying, come at me because I'll make sure I see you and I'll make sure I defeat you every time you come to my land. And I don't know if this was during or before, after. No, I don't know if this was during or before Persia came in to help. But I remember something when I was doing as a little kid. Athens and Sparta was just like these 2 guys over here fighting each other in the beginning, but no winning side, just the same one. Until the end, with the help of Persia, Athens finally beat Sparta. And now we have to think about this way. How did Thucydides view, a guy I mentioned a lot in here and I cited a lot, view the war? And how did his view on the war change how history is written? So Thucydides' view on the Peloponnesian War fundamentally transformed the way things are written by shifting focus from myth and divine intervention to human causes and rational analysis. So in this time in Greece, some historians like Herodias and others were writing stuff saying, we had famine because we didn't give sacrifice to the god of this, we lost a war because the god of this was mad at us, or we didn't do sacrifice. But Thucydides is like, what do you mean? We lost this because of political decisions, fear, ambition, and structural power struggles, which was just really the true drivers of the conflict. And him proving these points with eyewitness accounts, critical evaluation of sources, and commitment to accuracy established a new standard of historical inquiry by framing the war as a product of human nature and systematic rivalry. And if we remember, the most notable one was Sparta's fear of Athens' growing empire. He created a model of history that sought to uncover underlying causes rather than simply narrate events. This analytical approach laid the foundation for modern historiography, where events is studied and history is studied as discipline of evidence, interpretation, and explanation rather than just storytelling and moral lessons. And this is how Homer, I swear, if he wrote that by hand, this is how Homer must have felt writing that. The last one. Could the war have been avoided with diplomacy, as two friends dapping each other up saying, I forgive you, or as sizing each other up and staring them down as enemies? Well, it might have been delayed through diplomacy, but sadly, most historians agree it was unlikely because of the deep structural tension between Athens and Sparta. Mostly it was because Athens had a growing naval empire built under the Lion League and enforced through tribute and trade dominance, clashed directly with Sparta's controversial land-based system and its leadership of the Peloponnesian League. while specific disputes such as the Megarian Decree or the Corsaia and Corinth conflict could have been resolved through negotiation, the underlying rivalry was rooted in fear, ambition, and incompatible political structures. Thucydides himself agreed that the truest cause of the war was that Sparta's fear of Athens' rising power, a dynamic that diplomacy alone could not erase. Thus, although temporary compromises might have postponed open conflict, the war was ultimately the product of a long-term structural competition that made peace fragile and war almost inevitable. And here are my citations, including the images and my resources. And thank you for sticking with me and watching this video.